All right, let's talk about claiming your own little corner of the internet, your domain name. We're going to dive into how you can use Amazon Route 53 to find, register, and manage your online address. Whether it's for a brand new business idea, a personal project, whatever, this is where it all starts.
I mean, it seems so simple, right? You type in a web address and you're there. But behind every single one of those addresses is a whole system of registration, verification, and security. We're going to pull back that curtain and show you exactly what it takes to plant your flag on the internet and make sure it stays yours.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to walk through how to grab a brand new name from scratch. Then, we'll get into the really important stuff, how to manage it properly. We'll also cover how to move a domain you already own into Route 53 and how to move one out. And finally, we'll wrap up with some pro tips to help you avoid the common headaches.
Okay, let's start with the fun part, finding and registering a brand new domain. This is literally the moment your online presence becomes a real thing.
The whole thing is actually a pretty straightforward four-step dance. First, you search around for a name that's available. Once you find that perfect one, you fill in your contact details. Then you just review everything, make sure it's all correct, and pay. And that last step, verifying your email, that one is absolutely critical. We'll talk more about that in a bit.
Now lean in for this one because it is a big deal. Before you click that final button, you have to be 100% sure about the name. Check the spelling. Check it again. Like the slide says, once you buy it, it's yours. There are no refunds, no exchanges, no takebacks. So you've got your domain. Awesome. But now what? Well, with great domain comes great responsibility. This next part is all about the ongoing job of managing your settings, your info, and your security to protect that new digital asset. Okay, this contact info stuff isn't just for fun. It's a legal requirement. Think of it like this. The registrant is the legal owner. That's you. The administrative contact is the person who makes the big decisions. And the technical contact is who you call when something breaks. ICANN, the organization that governs all of this, demands that this information is kept accurate. And here's a pro tip. For the registrant, always use the name that's on your official ID. Trust me, it can save you a world of trouble later on. So by default, all that contact info is public. Anybody can look it up in a database called Whois. And this slide shows you so perfectly why privacy protection is a no-brainer. Look at the difference. On the left, all your info is out there for spammers and scammers. On the right, with privacy enabled, it's all hidden away. It's a simple click that makes a huge difference. Listen up because this is probably the single most important warning I'm going to give you. When you register a domain, or even if you just change your contact email, you are going to get a verification email. It might look like junk mail. It is not. If you ignore that email, your domain will be suspended. That means your website goes offline, your email stops working. You have to watch for these emails. Let's talk security for a second. 3 things you should set up right away. First, auto-renew. Just turn it on. It prevents you from accidentally forgetting to renew your domain and losing it. Second, transfer lock. This is like a deadbolt that stops hijackers from trying to steal your domain. And third, DNSSEC. This is a bit more advanced, but it basically protects your visitors by making sure that when they type in your address, they actually end up at your website, not some fake one. Okay, but what if you already own a domain somewhere else, and you want to bring it over to AWS to manage everything in one place? Well, that's called a domain transfer, and we're going to walk through how it works. The secret key to this entire process is what's called an authorization code. You might also hear it called an auth code or an EPP code. It's a unique password you get from your current registrar, and it proves you're the real owner. Seriously, think of it like the deed to your house. You don't hand it over to just anyone. Now, before you even start the transfer over in AWS, you've got a little homework to do. First, make sure you can get into the registrant's email account, because that's where the approval email is going. Second, you have to unlock your domain at your current registrar. Third, go get that auth code we just talked about. And finally, if you have DNSSEC enabled, you'll need to turn it off just for the transfer. And you have to be patient. This is not an instant process. After you kick things off, you'll get that authorization email, and you've got a few days to click the link. Then the registrars have to talk to each other and process everything. The whole thing can take up to 10 days, so don't leave it to the last minute. Of course, it's a two-way street. If you ever decide to move a domain that's in Route 53 to a new company, the process is just as clear. It's basically the same steps, just in reverse. You'll log in to Route 53, disable the transfer lock on the domain you want to move. Then you'll ask Route 53 for the auth code. You take that code, give it to your new registrar, and they'll start the process from their end. And here's a little curveball that's kind of interesting. Not all domains play by the same rules. For example, UK domains use something called an IPS tag instead of an auth code. You just update this tag with the name of your new registrar to approve the move. It's a good reminder that rules can be different depending on the domain extension. We have covered a lot of ground. So for this last section, let's talk about the common gotchas, the little traps people fall into, and more importantly, how you can easily sidestep that. This little table is your cheat sheet for the biggest headaches. If you get an invalid auth code error, remember they are case sensitive and they can expire. Always copy and paste a fresh one. If the transfer is blocked because the domain is locked, that's an easy fix. Just log into your old registrar and turn off the lock. And if you're not getting that crucial email, check your spam folder first, then double check that the registrant email is correct. And here is a number you absolutely have to remember: 60. There's a rule from ICANN that says you cannot transfer a domain within 60 days of registering it for the first time or within 60 days of a previous transfer. So if you just bought a domain or just moved it, you're stuck there for 2 months before you can move it again.
Look, if all that was a lot to take in, just burn these 3 golden rules into your brain. 1, always have auto-renew turned on. 2, never ever ignore those verification emails. And 3, make sure you unlock your domain before you even think about starting a transfer. Do those 3 things and you'll avoid 99% of the problems.
Oh, and one last little bonus tip. If you just need to move a domain from one of your AWS accounts to another AWS account, you don't have to go through that whole external process. Route 53 has a much simpler way to do internal transfers. So, there you have it. Your digital address is registered, it's secure, you're managing it like a pro. But right now, it's just an address. It's like an empty plot of land. How do you actually tell the internet how to find your website or your mail server that lives at that address? And that is the next piece of the puzzle: Route 53 hosted zones. That's the control panel where you create the roadmaps that direct all your traffic. It's how you really bring your domain to life.